As a matter of fact, I got texts from people over the weekend. Oh, you're going to talk about the Tish and the Epstein stuff, and I was like, well, I guess I kind of have to. But here's the way that I would say it. Because I saw a lot of Giant fans immediately just like, hey, sell the team, he has to go, which I'm fine with, obviously. We don't know the extent of his involvement. We do know that, Tish was emailing, according to these files and emails that were released with Epstein, and obviously about women. Now, how old? Who knows? Legal, illegal. Obviously, we know what happened in hindsight. But in the moment, and obviously Tish is not going to be alone. In the moment, he thinks he's doing something maybe, a bit shady, but I don't think Tish thought he was doing anything really illegal. I don't even know. We don't know the specifics of it. That's why it's hard to comment on it. Obviously, it's a horrific look. And obviously, if there's any kind of knowing that he was doing something wrong, any kind of a legal issue, and really the communication in general should be bad enough. But it's hard to say without knowing the entire circumstance. So, or you could just take the team away from him, portion of the team. Okay, fine, fair enough. Like, I don't care what the penalty is. There is no harsh enough penalty. If you're involved in that in any way, shape, or form, and you knew you were doing wrong, even in the mildest of ways, but especially with if he's trafficking young women and you're getting involved in that, like the whole thing is just gross, disturbing, disgusting, also not surprising, especially with elitist, rich, Hollywood type people. But the one thing that I would say to Giants fans is if this were one of your favorite players involved in this email thing, whether years past, present, whatever it may be, would you be having the same energy? Or is it just because it's part of an ownership group that maybe you're fed up with here? That's where, again, I'm not trying to make hypotheticals. I'm just saying, like, the fans' energy is get him out, disgusting, disturbing, sickening. And yet, a lot of fans, not just Giant fans, a lot of fans turned a blind eye to other things, whether it's domestic abuse, cheating, what do you call it? Infidelity, whatever it may be, all those different things. So there's a lot of drunk driving, like there's a lot of issues with athletes that have come up in, I mean, forever, but really specifically in recent years, the last decade or so, more stuff gets out on social media, whatever it may be. And fans are generally, and I always said, like, it's not fair to punish us, the fans. What we're not supposed to root for Aroldis Chapman because of the incidents that he was involved in. But if you're a Yankee fan, you can't root for him to close out games. It's not like Yankees. It's not the Yankees fans' fault that they brought in this guy. Brian Cashman brought in Aroldis Chapman. Why can't the Yankees root for him? Or whoever it may be. And pick a guy. It's not just the Yankees. Chapman's the first guy that came to mind. But there are a lot of athletes that have had legal issues. And I'm not saying pound for pound, like that's on par with what went on with Epstein. Do we know all the horrific specifics of what went on in this particular case? Or just because we know what's happened in hindsight and we see the emails that have been leaked or whatever found, and we know that there's communication, and immediately we're like, okay, well, Tish must be this too. Like he must have been going after the young women as well. Epstein was setting him up. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm not saying it did. I have no idea. All I'm saying is I think it's a lot easier for fans to go after an owner that they may not like or know enough about than it is to go after a player. Like, are all those same Giant fans? Did you see this bada booms with Jay-Z? I don't even know like what's real or what isn't. Jay-Z's reportedly, okay. So are all the Giant fans who say, and it doesn't pertain to just the Giants, but we do mostly New York sports here, so we're talking about that as it pertains to Tish and the Epstein files. So if all those fans that say, get Tish out immediately, are they going to continue listening to Jay-Z music? What about Michael Jackson? Is Michael Jackson music okay? Who doesn't love Michael Jackson songs? Like, I like Michael Jackson songs. I love Michael Jackson songs. But do I like Michael Jackson, the person, who in all likelihood was a child abuser? I mean, does it get much worse than that? So am I supposed to now not listen to Michael Jackson music? I guess my point is don't be hypocritical of it. Not accepting the repulsive, disgusting behavior and what went on Epstein Island. We all know that. But just don't cherry pick and say, okay, well, we'll get on Tish because we think it's time for a change with ownership versus, well, Jay-Z didn't, I still got to listen to Jay-Z music, or I still got to listen to Michael Jackson music, or pick a former athlete, like we said before, or a current athlete who's done something in the past. Like, I just don't know. That's why I generally don't talk about these things. As a sports fan, you're put in a difficult spot. As a human being, everybody's saying that if you had any association whatsoever with Epstein, you should be banned from everything forever for life. But maybe there were different levels of communication or relationships with Epstein. I know Gates was getting involved in that. Like, this is a whole messy thing, and I know a lot of it's going to be political. I stay away from all that stuff, but impossible not to at least touch on this with Tish being involved in Epstein. If you had to ask me, like, what do I think was going on? I mean, obviously, you do the math. You got rich people using the world as their playground. A guy who in Epstein can, who, find women for rich, famous people. I mean, I think that there's probably something to it. To what extent? I don't know. Did Tish think he was doing anything, totally wrong? I don't know. And even if he didn't think he was doing, like we always said this with Michael Vick, I don't think Michael Vick thought he was doing something wrong with the dogfighting ring, as crazy as that sounds. He grew up in an area where that was common practice. He may have known it wasn't like legal, but did he think what he was doing was to the extent of what he did? I don't believe so. But ultimately he paid the price. So maybe certain guys in these Epstein files didn't know the extent of what they were doing. I'm sure they knew it wasn't 100% morally right. But did they think that it was to the extent that it was? I would bet probably not. The majority of those people didn't think that that was the case. They just thought it was a party. Hey, there's beautiful women. Hey, this guy, I don't know how he does it, but whatever. Maybe they look the other way. Maybe they don't want to know the truth. But ultimately, people are going to pay the price. And if Tish needs to go, so be it. There is a touch of hypocrisy when it comes to sometimes with athletes, or in this particular case, owners, doing immoral things or illegal things where fans will pick and choose where they decide to turn the blind eye. Like, Bada Booms, you're young. You're only 22, so it's hard to ask you about some of this stuff. But you know about Michael Jackson. You know about Jay-Z here. I mean, what do you do? Like, as a consumer of the music, do you look the other way? Do you just totally ban them? I mean, pick an artist, pick an athlete. You know what I'm saying here? I'm just trying to bring it to like real terms. If this were like, who's your favorite athlete of all time?
That's a good question. He's probably passed on, probably Nick
Mangold?
Mangold or
All right.
Revis, but
Okay, well, Revis, let's say that hypothetically or whatever, just out of nowhere, one of your, I'm not even going to name a name, but let's just say one of your favorite athletes is named in this. I mean, what are you supposed to do? Or I was going to say your owner, but
yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I wanted to ask you about that. Why are we not? Why is his name not getting mentioned?
well, how do we not? What do you mean?
He's
Is it?
all over it. He's all over it. There's a whole thing going on the Jet side of Twitter right now. That's why are we talking about Tish and not Woody?
Well, what? But I would assume that the emails were the same as Tish. Then why wouldn't? Then they would be talking about Woody. They must not be the same. Maybe there were emails that were exchanged but weren't as damaging as the ones that Tish exchanged.
I don't know. Let's investigate Woody. Let's investigate Woody.
Well, they're good, dude. They're gonna investigate everybody. I just want to talk sports, man.
I agree.
This is obviously bad. I just want to get into sport. I don't even like discussing this shit.
Well, the
Like,
Woody thing
honestly,
is
it's
beneficial
disgusting.
for the Jets and the team and the
I know,
franchise.
but that's exactly my point.
Mm-hmm.
You're not looking at it from a who did this, they need to be in trouble standpoint, because that's horrible. You're looking at it from, I hate this owner. He's ruining my franchise. Get him out any way you can. And that's kind of the way that I feel with Tish. Now, it was disgusting. It was repulsive. Again, we don't know all the details, but obviously any kind of association with that to that kind of detail is inexcusable and unacceptable. But I do feel a part of it is exactly what you just said about hoping that that happens to Woody if he were involved in this. Good, get him out. Whereas with the Giants and Tish, not that Tish was always front and center because he's not, it's always been Mara. But the fact that you could have a significant change with ownership, in this particular case, getting Tish the hell out of there, I feel like that's a part of it from Giant fan perspective. And
Can
that's
I
just
just
hypocrisy. Yeah, good.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to inject
No,
myself
no,
in the
no.
Bada
Go.
Boom show. No, I do want to say though that stuff is absolutely disgusting, especially when it's to young girls who may be coerced into something or don't
But
maybe
do
not
you
know
think
better
he
when getting
knew?
into it.
Do you think he knew? Again, how do we know the details in that?
I can't speak on those kind of people, Sal.
No,
I
but
live
even I'm saying even in the emails that we saw with Tish and Epstein, at least the ones that I read, it didn't say specifically about the age of the female that was being like recruited. I don't know what the right term is, right?
That's still dead
You
wrong,
have it?
though.
You have them up? You have the
No,
emails up?
and I
Okay.
can't read, so
Okay.
that's just two things
Good
that are.
point.
Can we go back to Michael real quick?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think, well, I learned this at a young age in school, actually, when it pertains to separating the art from the artist. Michael's one of those ones where it's like,
Okay. Right. Separating the art from the artist, but where do you draw the line? Like what
probably abuse against young children, but that
oh,
being
okay. That like, does it get any worse than that? So again, I'm not trying to go pound for pound, but if you hear a Michael Jackson song or I do, I don't think of those things, even though it's reprehensible and disgusting. I hear the song and I like we got to be punished for that. We got to now prevent ourselves. Same thing with Jay-Z. Like, do you have the extent of the Jay-Z? I should probably do more of a. I just saw the headlines with Jay-Z and he's getting in trouble here. Are
well,
you a big Jay-Z fan?
I like some of the Jay-Z songs, you know, what does he know about cameras? But for me, it'd be more Michael, 'cause, I mean, who growing up, who had never listened to Michael Jackson? Or
So you're
he's
not
a
a Jay-Z
cultural
guy,
icon.
is what you're
No, I
saying.
am. I know a good amount of the Jay-Z songs,
All right.
but, Michael's, you know, that's gotta be the one for everybody, I think.
Yeah. I mean, Puff Daddy
Hee
obviously is
hee.
horrible. Yeah, Puff Daddy's horrible, but so is his music. So like, I don't think anybody's gonna. If you told me like you okay, well you can't listen to P Diddy's music because of his reprehensible lifestyle and all that he did, I'd be like, okay, well I don't really. I mean, I like a couple songs, but it wouldn't really impact me. Michael Jackson, Jay Z, a little bit different, uh, but it's not that like I'm certainly not backing what they did.
No.
My whole point in this stuff is I do sports talk. Okay. I got into sports talk to do sports. And the way that it's evolved is it's less about the games and more about the headlines. That's just how sports talk has evolved. Even more so, a lot of times over the recent years, it's been more scandal and drama and cheating scandals and lying scandals and gambling nonsense now and the off the field stuff. Who's doing what off the field? Like it that this was supposed to be an escape from reality. Think about it. If I'm not a political guy and I choose to keep my head in the sand about this stuff, the last thing I want to see is Epstein, which has become a major thing across the world, not just politically, but a major thing. The last thing I want to see is that infiltrating sports, let alone New York sports and the Giants. So obviously, you want nothing to do with it. You want to, if you're the Giants, and wash your hands with it. I don't know how legally you could force him to sell the team or what based on those emails. I don't know. Uh, it, what does it say? Is there anybody who's ever going to side with Tish in this particular case? We
No.
just don't know all the details. And obviously, I can understand if everybody wants him out. All I'm saying is just don't be hypocritical about it. It can't just be, well, we don't like this person or we don't think he's doing a good job. And this should expedite the process of getting him out versus, well, I love Michael Jackson music, so I can look the other way with that or ignore what he did.
What are you gonna do to Michael now? But at one point about your storyline
No, you
thing.
cannot listen though.
Yes, yeah, but who's that gonna affect? His kids now? Like,
No, no.
that's
I'm saying from a moral compass.
yes, yes. Everybody thinks they're better than thou, and they all, you know,
That's my
standing on
point.
the soapbox and stuff. But with the sports storyline thing, Sal,
Yeah.
I'm gonna say this specifically because it's my team. You could also talk about your Mets for a small extent there. If it
Mhm.
wasn't for extrapolating these storylines, what would there be to talk about with the New York Jets for a majority of the last 10 years?
Well, what do you mean?
You're talking about how sports is all storyline
Yeah, yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah. Right.
Like
Okay. Well,
for some of these teams, you have no choice because they're
I know.
so
Now I
bad.
got you. I got you. We can't talk about the games with the Jets and Giants because they're so bad. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, it
I know,
has
but
to
it's
be
also
storylines.
100%, 100%. But it's not just that. You're right.
Yeah.
I wish. You know how many times BT and I'm like, good God, we got to do this again with the Jets and Giants. Like we can't even react to a game because they're so bad. That's why we love doing the Knicks postseason because when you get to specific spots like the playoffs for both the Knicks, for the Mets and Yankees, now it is reacting to each individual game in isolation and then the series. That's where it's the most fun. The other stuff leading up to it, the Knicks, the storylines, are they going to get Giannis? Should they not get Giannis? Where's Karl-Anthony Towns? Should they break up the team? Mike Brown and Tibbs and the minutes. And those are the storylines. We're not talking about last night. Hey, Landry Shamet had a terrific game. I mean, he did, but we're not breaking down, the X's and O's of last night's game specifically. All right.